Hey guys, it's Kevin with the New Warehouse Podcast. I am here at Manifest 2025, which is presented by DHL. And we are at the DHL Supply Chain booth. And I'm going to be joined by Shelly Nirvelli. She's the VP of Business Development for Packaging. And of course, we're going to talk all about packaging today. We're going to talk about some of the variations of packaging, how DHL looks at packaging, what DHL is up to in regards to packaging, and how it can be a competitive advantage for your operation and your organization. So, Shelly, thanks for having me in your booth. How are you?
I appreciate you. I'm good, thanks.
Yeah, it's good to connect with you. We're both adjunct professors, so we're getting on the same wavelength here a little bit from an academic perspective. But so we're here at the DHL booth, right? So tell us a little bit about for people that maybe are not familiar. I don't know where you've been if you're not familiar, but what is DHL Supply Chain all about?
DHL Supply Chain is a division of the DHL Group who focuses on core solutions including warehousing, transportation, LLP, packaging, among others. So we have a whole other suite of services that we offer, but those are the few that I'm going to focus on right now. Within the packaging solutions, what my group does is the contract packaging side of things, which is, it's basically helping our customers reconfigure things from the time it's made to the time that it's used at its simplest form. So think about things like filled displays that you would see in the grocery stores, or things like little mini candies that go into bags at Halloween so that you have that mix pack so that you don't have to have all just one flavor. We'll do the bagging for those kinds of things. We'll do clamshells for clients. For example, in animal health, we clamshell flea and tick collars to make sure that they're nice and safe and secure and that they get to market the way they need to. We do labeling, we do kitting all across industries. So these are services that we offer across our consumer customers, life sciences and healthcare, auto mobility, engineering, manufacturing.
Yeah, and I think there's so much, as we were saying here a little earlier, like there's so much involved with packaging, right? So there's so many different ways that we can go the packaging side. But tell us a little bit about, if we look at packaging right now, like what's kind of going on in the packaging world? What for your clients, right? What are they looking at from a packaging perspective, and maybe how are they leveraging that to give them some kind of advantage in the market?
Beyond the contract packaging piece of things of our scope, we also have the materials management side of things, which is how we plan, source, and procure all the stuff that goes into the contract packaging piece of it.
Right.
And then we enable all of that with our systems technology, which is called Packet. And I mention all of that because it's relevant to where we're going here. So what our clients are typically doing with what it is that we're contract packaging is they're using it to differentiate themselves against our competitors. They're using it to offer exposure to new products. And so that's really the world that we live in, is how do we help our brands get to market so that it's giving their consumers and their customers the experience that they need.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that's really smart. And I love the fact you said that they're leveraging it to be able to utilize to get closer to the true demand, right? So tell us a little bit about how that works, right? Like how do they go about leveraging the packaging to allow them to get a little more time before they actually have that demand?
So one of the easy examples that I can offer in our world is, for example, a lot of our customers, you can see these names, they're big enough in scale. We're doing warehousing for them, for example. So we're sitting on these piles of inventory. So we're saying, okay, well, we're going to perform those conversions, that contract packaging right here in the distribution center. And by doing that, we avoid having to spend the time sending it off site and the carbon emissions and the transportation costs and all those things of sending it off site and then back on site. So it's leveraging the inventory that our customers already have in order to accommodate that postponement that we talked about.
Interesting. Yeah, and I think that makes a lot of sense. And I will say, actually, I've worked for a company. We were at a DHL site, so I know a little bit about that. And it's very interesting to see how that packaging can be leveraged from a display perspective as well, and how there's different variations of coming from basically bulk inventory, and how do you break that down into different variety packs, or those packages that you see in the middle of the aisle at the grocery store, and all those different things. So tell us a little bit about maybe too some of the evolution of the packaging as we've seen a rise in e-commerce as well. How does that come into play for some of your customers?
We're just seeing a more thoughtful mix of what are the right things to ship in their own containers? What are the right ways to deliver that brand experience when our customers are opening those units at home? In the world of e-commerce, it's about right sizing the cartons that we're putting things into. So we have tools and proprietary technology that helps us optimize the carton size so that we're minimizing air and also protecting the precious cargo inside.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's really interesting too to see kind of that evolution in the space, right? Because the consumer kind of like dictates a lot of that stuff, and how we've had to change our operations and change the processes, change packaging to be able to accommodate that consumer. But I think it's really interesting, the packaging perspective is it's such a vital part of the supply chain, right? So from the perspective, if we think about the end-to-end supply chain, right? There's packaging needed to protect, these items, as you mentioned earlier, to go from all these different nodes and points within the supply chain. So how are you seeing, because I think something that's kind of come up a lot is excess packaging too, right? From a sustainability perspective. How are you seeing some of your customers? How are you helping some of your customers to be able, from an end-to-end supply chain perspective, maybe reduce the amount of packaging they're using?
So one of the ways that we do that is through our material sourcing strategy. So what we'll do is we'll get our creative brief from our client, and that will explain to us what is it that they're trying to accomplish, and then we'll load that into our Packet system. And our materials management portion of Packet is powered by SpecRite. And to elaborate a little bit on it, the contract packaging side of it is powered by Nulogy. So those are industry-leading technologies. We then layer on some custom-built microservices and then fully integrate them to maintain visibility and things like that. So the reason it's important that it's all connected is because one of the big answers is we look at it from end to end. And so we're taking this total supply chain perspective about what is it going to take to get this product to look how it needs to look and arrive where it needs to arrive safely and securely, but with the least amount of packaging that's necessary. We have about 60 suppliers and about 900 locations that we work with for our materials management. So when we get that creative brief from our clients, we're going to the right supplier partners of ours and we're saying, hey, here's what we want to accomplish. Give us your best ideas. And so they come to us, they give us their designs, we work together with them and we optimize and we choose the best fit for that particular client. And that is based on things like the best innovations that they have available. So if someone's offering digital print for something, of course, and if it's a good fit, we will leverage that as one way to do things like expedite the whole process of getting that created, be able to have lower run quantities, all the benefits that come with that. We'll also connect with our contract packaging team to say, let's dissect this together and let's figure out how we can make this work in a way that is going to be most efficient and most effective for our clients. Because we win when our clients get a solution that is the most efficient and effective for them. That's what's going to keep our clients coming back to us. That's what creates delighted customers, and that's ultimately what we're after.
Yeah, absolutely. And it ends up ultimately creating efficiency within your operations too, right? As you're shipping for them. So tell us a little bit about, maybe the opportunity there too for your customers or people that are just shipping things in general. Having that excess packaging or maybe the wrong packaging or just making like the slightest tweak to your packaging, right? How much of an impact can that have on their overall supply chain and the business?
I would say that even in really sophisticated organizations, some of the basic things are just kind of falling between the cracks. So one example I'll give you is a major confectionery client of ours asked us to take a look at their materials management processes. And our team took a look and we realized that they were buying the same thing from 3 different partners a total of 21 times a year. And we took a look through Packet. It helped us identify there's an opportunity there for aggregation and standardization. And so it was able to help us figure out the right cadence of purchasing to do those buys quarterly. And that sounds pretty simple and it sounds pretty easy, but they weren't going to find it any other way. We needed that system technology. We needed that sort of neutral view that we could bring to say, hey, here's how we're going to do it. And what that was able to deliver was, it was above a 20% savings for them. And while we were helping reduce their obsolescence to below 1%, that was like a 5x reduction for them. So just by these seemingly non-rocket science things, they're simple conceptually, but without the technology or the tenacity and the expertise to do it, they're just not getting done.
Yeah, very interesting. And I think it's so interesting when you look at, our industry, right? And these little like small things, like you said, these things that just kind of easy enough to just fall between the cracks, right?
Yeah.
You actually take a look at them and kind of dissect them a little bit. Just huge savings, right?
Yeah, another example I'll give you, a client came to us and they said, hey, here's this carton that we'd like you to source. And we looked at it and we were like, okay, we will source that for you.
Yeah.
And here's another option where we just worked with our supplier partners, and all we did, it had a tear strip around the top, and we removed the plastic that was underneath it, because our supplier partner had a design that would eliminate that and still make a nice, smooth, clean rip. And what that did was it eliminated all that plastic, and it made it curbside recyclable, it made it more affordable. And so it's all about giving our clients choice. Some of our clients come to us and say things like, hey, removing plastic from the client experience is really important to us from a brand standpoint, so we'll help with that. Other clients say, hey, we know that plastic's important. It keeps our product safe, it keeps it fresh, it keeps it protected, but here's some other goals that we have. So we'll help work with whatever it is that our clients need to achieve. I mean, you see that with all these products. We have very, very different customers. When we're working with our automobility customers, for example, we're handling everything from huge diesel engines to little tiny washers, and putting those little washers in bags so that when the repair technician is repairing an engine on an ambulance or a city bus or something like that, that they have everything they need right at their fingertips. So that's very different than building a display that goes in a grocery store to catch your eye. So it's all about meeting the customers with the solutions that they need for their industry.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, it's, you don't think about it in your daily life, right? But like you said, I mean, there's so much variation in the packaging we see, and if somebody's watching us, listening, like they're in their car, or they're sitting at home or something, like you just look around you, like there's a ton of things right in front of you probably that are in some type of packaging, and all different, right? So there's a lot of options there, a lot of variability. So it's great to hear how you're able to help them kind of navigate and figure out the best options through these different choices that you guys have been able to put together in your, I guess, portfolio of suppliers and things like that. I'm curious here at Manifest, since we're on site here, right? What have people been asking about, or saying that they have challenges with when it pertains to packaging?
We're hearing a lot more and more about materials management. So on the contract packaging side of things, our customers, we've got over 50 locations that do contract packaging in North America, over 240 globally. The materials management side of things was kind of something that our clients pulled us into, because they were saying, look, thank you for doing the actual execution of this, and here's where we need more help. So what we're seeing is this pull toward the total turnkey solutions, and there are great partners out there who do that work, but what we're able to do is help them total end to end with this materials agnostic, solution neutral perspective that we can offer. And that's kind of what we're seeing. We keep hearing from our customers that the IT platform that we're bringing forward with Packet is like nothing else that they have, and they're desperate for the digitalization and the insight that we can give them. So our customers, they're pretty classic themes. They want speed and agility. They want to be able to get to market quickly. They want information, data accessibility. They want to help be able to take advantage of the automation solutions that are out there. So that's what our team does, is lives and breathes and looks around at here at other conferences. We'll be at the Smithers e-commerce sustainability and packaging session in a month from now. We hit Pack Expo. Like, we're always out in the industry trying to figure out the best tools that are out there, whether it's from materials management or contract packaging, to make sure that we put those in our innovation funnel. And I know you talked to Brian Gaunt already about our accelerated digitalization funnel. We have the same kind of funnel, exactly the same model for contract packaging, where we've got technologies and processes in all three phases of the funnel. And our team is behind the scenes taking a look at which of these operations are a good fit for this types of emerging technology, which kind of clients are a good fit for us to pilot things.
Yeah, very interesting. And obviously, it's definitely very inspiring how you guys do look at all of the latest innovations all across the place, and you're always trying to see what's going to work for our clients, or what can we have in our back pocket in case there's a client that comes up that it can work for. It's really great to see that. And you mentioned in there about the sustainability aspect, right? So obviously around packaging, that's become a huge discussion too, right? So talk to us a little bit about some of the, I guess maybe first talk to us a little bit about some of the sustainability challenges around packaging, and then we'll talk about maybe some of the opportunities and things that you've done for some of your clients.
So I think you probably know from talking to Brian about DHL's commitment to sustainability. So Mission 2050 is to be net emissions neutral by 2050, and we have some very serious science-based target goals that we're on track to achieve by 2030. So in the context of that, everything we do in the realm of packaging is intended to reduce those things. So I would say our attack on sustainability is by attacking every piece of the supply chain. So it starts with efficient and effective planning. So using our machine learning, AI, using all the things that the materials management module of Packet offers us, using all those things to figure out how do we buy the right amounts so that we're maintaining low levels of obsolescence while still making sure that we always have what we need to build when we need to build it. From a design standpoint, it's always making sure that we're using the most efficient overall design so that it gets to where it needs to be while it's protected without being overbuilt. So whether that's the right amount of corrugate, the right thickness, the right substrates, all those things.
And do you see your customers coming to you saying that, I guess their customers, right, are kind of telling them, or they're getting from the market that, they need a more sustainable option? I mean, do you see that kind of driving you guys and challenging you a little bit to figure out how to be more sustainable in the practices?
I would say it's more just feeling what we're already doing. Our customers aren't having to pull us into sustainability because it's something that we believe so solidly as DHL. Yeah.
Interesting. And so I think it's very great to see how you guys are approaching that, right? That you have that goal, and you're thinking about how do we make this better, be more sustainable, internally for DHL too, but then in turn, because you serve so many people, right, then that sustainability gets spread out through multiple different channels as well, right, which is a great thing.
Other things, again, they don't have to be rocket science to be impactful, is just how we design our networks by, for example, if we've got a materials management offering that we're looking at and we've got vendor partners, all else being equal, if we have two wonderful solutions, the one that's going to win in that situation is often the one that's going to be geographically closest. And we have examples of that where we'll see customers sourcing product from Chicagoland when it's going to be built and used in Pennsylvania. And so it doesn't seem complicated, but we see this time and time again where we'll source locally, and that reduces not only cost but emissions. We see examples even within brands of sourcing things from overseas. So they're shipping materials all the way from Asia to be used when we could offer locally or domestically sourced items which have the same look and feel and quality from that perspective. But often some of the challenges that we see in our customers is that the decisions about bringing the products to market can happen within the brands, and they become so siloed that it's sort of challenging to see the forest for the trees. And those decisions happen, and it's very, very important to make sure that we honor what those brands want and need, but we're also trying to offer, like I said earlier, we're offering ideas. Yes, we can absolutely do that. We can copy exactly what you have today, and here's how we'll help make it better. Or here's another option or two or three that give you different benefits, and it's up to you to choose what's right for you. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, and I think it's great that we talked about this before, but I want to say it again, it's great that you have all these options, right? So when a customer comes and they're engaging with you for the first time, you're like, oh, I have this problem and I have this problem, and you're like, well, we have this solution and we have this solution, right? You'll be able to bring that to the table and really help them kind of take their operation or take their business to the next level, right? And that experience for their customers at the end of the day to be the best. So tell us a little bit about, because you mentioned in there, we talked about packaging and some of the advantages. You talked a little bit about automation. So I'm curious how, the packaging kind of ties into some of the automation things that you're doing. How important does the packaging become with some of these projects?
Yeah, so our automation, it runs the whole gambit. So we have some operations which are super manual and they're very highly flexible, where all the equipment's on rollers and we just roll it in and roll it out, but it's very fundamental. In general, 70% of our operations have some kind of automation in them, so it's pervasive, but some of them have more people in them than others. Some of our operations are so high volume and predictable and consistent that they look like production plants and facilities like that. So part of the fun of it is figuring out what's the right level for this client and what are the right technologies for them. But we'll also make recommendations. For example, once we're looking at a client's portfolio, we'll say, if we were able to tweak X, Y, and Z, here's the types of automation that we would be able to introduce, and it would mean ABC for your business, and that's choice.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think it's really interesting to hear that, because there is like so many, like we talked about before, so many little tweaks that, to your point, like could lead to other potential solutions, right? And doing different things, which I think is really interesting to hear. So now, before we let you go here, we are at Manifest, right, which is the future of logistics and supply chain. But we need to hear from you. What's the future of packaging?
Oh, that's such a good question. I would say the future of packaging is just going to I think it's going to continue getting even more flexible. I think we're going to keep seeing evolutions and improvements in sustainability. I think we're going to keep seeing new solutions that are going to help make things more recyclable. I think we're going to keep seeing continued focus on e-commerce, and I think we're going to keep seeing new technologies get more and more cost efficient to introduce into the build side of things.
All right, great. And we'll look forward to that, definitely. And it's been a pleasure to talk to you here at Manifest and learn about the packaging side of DHL Supply Chain. And if people want to learn more, maybe ask you some questions about packaging, what's the best way to do that?
We would love that. I got a team of about 50 packaging experts here in North America at your service.
Okay. All right.
If you're interested in talking to us, you can connect with me on LinkedIn. Shelly.Nirvelli@dhl.com would be a great way to start.
Okay, awesome. And we'll definitely put that information in the show notes and at thenewwarehouse.com so people can easily find it. So thank you once again, Shelly, for having me in your booth here at Manifest.
Great to see you. Great to meet you.
You too. Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning into today's video here on our YouTube channel, The New Warehouse Podcast, and I appreciate you tuning in. If you liked what you saw, make sure you subscribe to our channel, and if you like this video in particular, make sure you like it as well. And if you want to get this great t-shirt that you see in the video behind me, Warehouses Are Sexy, head to warehousesaresexy.com and get your own.